Welcome to episode 248 of Real Therapy, where we talk about how movies make us feel. I'm Donavon Thompson with my co-host,
Daniel Wingfield.
and today we discuss one of the most anticipated movies of the year, James Gunn's Superman. We give a review of the film, what we liked, what we didn't, and ask the biggest question of all. Is the start of the new DCU a success? This is Real Therapy, and you know what that means.
They're gonna talk about how it makes them feel. They're gonna watch all the movie reels, cause it's Dan and Don in Real Therapy. It's real.
Hey man, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. Pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's as always, a lot of work, but I'm starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
There, it's like a keyhole light,
Mm-hmm.
but I see it, So
Yep.
I'm getting there, and I'm getting excited about. Just a sidebar. There's a lot of writing things that are just percolating in my brain, and I'm getting excited. So I'm excited to share those with you. So
Yeah,
doing
that's
good.
exciting. That's exciting. I love being in that creative space where you have the idea, you have the inception of what you know is cool, and you see the path towards it, and so it's just almost like coloring by numbers in your head, because it's just all I know exactly what this is. You know what I mean? That's one of my favorite points in any kind of creative process, is just that moment of clarity of what and clarity of how to accomplish it. It's just there's like a adrenaline rush almost from that.
For sure. And I think a big thing for me is when we do have movies like Superman come out, because we're good or bad, if you love it, that's great. If you don't love it, you see the faults, and seeing the faults, you're like, what would I have done? And it kind of gets you jazzed up. It's like, and the creative juices start to flow.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know what gets my juices flowing is when our listeners stop what they're doing right now and they go to our YouTube or our Spotify or Apple Podcast or other places. Deezer, is that a place? I think. And they subscribe, follow, and review our podcast. I don't think you guys understand how much the algorithm needs that for them to even glance at us. So if you like our show, if you enjoy what we do and what we talk about, go leave a review, make a subscription. You know what? In fact, go make a second account. Use your college email that you still have or whatever, maybe your work email. Make a second account. Do it twice. Please and thank you.
It's like a bot, but it's real,
Right. It's like fake real engagement.
Yeah.
Real,
it's great.
It's real fake engagement. Yeah.
I love it. At least it'll give me a confidence boost, and that's all we need.
That's the whole point of this, is our own egos.
100%, 110%. Well, we're back to Superman, right? And this has been the most anticipated movie for me for the year. It's been something you and I have been talking about on the channel for a couple of years now, all the way back to the release of the trailer back in December 2024, and then a year and a half prior, when we were discussing about James Gunn's Gods and Monsters slate, and of course him being announced as the CEO of DC Studios, co-CEO. It's so long ago, Daniel. We had two different thumbnails ago. That's how long ago
Styles.
it was.
Wow.
Styles.
Wow.
So to put a little perspective into it for you.
2021, was that when that happened?
Oh man, maybe 2022, around that area.
Okay.
We'll have to look at it, but yeah. So, obviously it's been a hot ticket specifically for the channel, specifically for us as comic book lovers and viewers for movies. And I just kind of want to get your general thoughts, your general reaction to watching Superman.
I had a really fun time. I think Superman's a really fun movie. I really want to see it again, because I think there is that thing of when you're going into a movie with high expectations and you're kind of constantly asking yourself, how am I feeling right now about this? There's almost this level of being not present with the film. You know what I mean? And sometimes that can be an indictment of the film isn't pulling me in enough, so I'm constantly questioning if I'm even liking this, right? That can be, but I don't think that's really what it was. I mean, I do think the early part of the film is a little clunky. And overall, there are actually a few clunky just things about the movie, but at the end of the day, it got the heart right, it got the emotion right, and it got Superman right. And I think it got the tone of the universe right, and has set us up for something I guess has set us up to have a more unique take on comic book movies in a comic book universe than we've gotten so far. And so that's really exciting. So that's my overall thoughts.
Yeah, I agree with you. Almost on everything. So I've seen it 3 times now. I've managed to get 3 screenings in. And I, the first time I watched it, it felt I had a great time with it. I thought it was super fun. Obviously, there's problems, and we'll get into those. But I found myself every viewing since then, and even just watching clips, like I found myself enjoying it more and more. And I think it's because of what you said, where I got the first one out of the way, and I now know what the universe is. I know what the
Mm-hmm.
tone is. My expectations have been shifted, you know? And I think for a lot of people, if it's like literally looking at the spectrum of like Man
Yeah.
of Steel and then Superman, James Gunn Superman over here, and how much of a different thing that is. And just
Yeah.
even our expectations of comic book movies I mean, X-Men celebrated its 25th anniversary yesterday for the film. From
Oh
all the way
wow.
from X-Men to now, of like how
Yeah.
comic book movies are perceived
Yeah.
on a screen. And so I think by the time my second and third viewing, again, the faults are still there, but I just really appreciate a lot of the things that got right. And also just, I'm a sucker for heart and emotion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there's just things about it. I was watching a clip from it earlier this
Mm-hmm.
morning on
Mm-hmm.
YouTube, and I was getting chills watching the clip because now I know the
Mm-hmm.
context around that scene. And
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
can I
Yeah.
can visualize what happened before and after, and I'm like, oh man, that's super cool. It's super
Mm-hmm.
cool. So anyway,
Mm-hmm.
I had a great time with it. It's not the best comic book movie of all time. It's not the second
No.
coming of Jesus like we
No.
maybe we've hoped. Um, but I think it did overall what it needed to do, and I'm looking forward to kind of discussing those things with you.
Agreed.
Um, but first, I want to talk about kind of get it out of the way, the things we didn't like,
Yeah.
you know. And so I think you and I both said this out of our screening together, first screening. Um, I think for the reports initially where James Gunn had kind of taken this all-star Superman approach,
Mm-hmm.
where that is told over like 6 or 7 days, like a Monday, a Tuesday, and that was part of the original structure. We had like the title card Monday,
Yeah.
Tuesday, Wednesday, and you can kind of like you can feel that kind of similar structure was there in
Yeah.
terms of we'd have a sequence, there'd be like a gap, like a literally cut the black, and then we'd start the next thing. Things were happening like off screen that you might consider important. And you could feel the pacing kind of tug and pull and not be
Mm-hmm.
100% there.
Yeah.
Also, there's a lot of characters in this movie, and
Yeah.
it felt like even though we did get cool sequences with like Jimmy Olsen and some stuff with Rachel Brosnahan and Perry White, I bet there's a lot on the cutting room floor with Clark Kent and all of them and the
Hot
Justice
girl.
Gang,
Yeah.
Hot Girl, Perry White. Even hearing some of them in the interviews, like here's the some of my story, and I'm like, well, we didn't get that at all in the movie. And
You
and
think we might get a director's cut of this? You think there's
I
a
don't
way?
think so. James Gunn's not he's not a director's cut kind of guy.
You're right. Yeah. Yeah.
I've never seen him do a director's cut of anything. Part of that is because he's been under the purview of Marvel.
Sure.
But
And Marvel
even the
doesn't do
Suicide,
those. Yeah.
they don't do those. But also Suicide Squad. Um, yeah, I don't believe in director's cuts. Like I mean,
Sure.
do I love that we have the Richard Donner cut for Superman? Of course. Do I
I
think
mean,
that Batman v
the Lord of the Rings extended editions are still some of the best, I think, directors' versions of movie. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you
no,
gave us more of a world we all just wanted to live in. So that's why it
yeah.
works.
That's a great positive example. Another one is Zack Snyder's Batman v Superman. That movie is
Yeah.
about 70%
Yep.
better,
Yep.
and
It actually makes
the
sense. It
it
actually
actually
makes
makes
sense.
sense
Yeah. Yeah.
compared to what we got in theaters, right? And that still movie has still has problems, but it's like, oh,
Yeah.
this actually has a plot now that like characters
Yeah.
are doing things that make sense. Yeah, yeah. And so I like that. I like that we got those. I don't ever think I want a director's. If I were to make a movie, I don't want a director's cut.
Yeah. Sure.
Like to me, director's cut, and this is a little tangent. A director's cut is, um, It is taking the hits from the studio and the test audiences,
Hmm.
and like to me, it is what comes out through the whole process
Yeah,
and not getting a second chance.
sure.
And if you don't get a second chance, then that's like 99.99% of filmmakers, and that is what to me what you get is director's cut. Even if like it's
Yeah,
taken from you, even if
sure.
it's taken from you and the studio does something, that's still your that's the director's cut.
Hmm.
So licks and all. So, I don't think we're gonna get one of those. But for me, the pacing was, not the greatest. And also, but
Yeah,
it does feel like it flies. It's 2 hours.
yeah, yeah.
That,
It's
that thing
packed.
goes. It's packed. It
Yeah,
is scene to scene. And one more thing I'm going to say, and I'll let you kind of comment on those. And I know this is probably your biggest one. There is some really clunky dialogue in this
yeah,
movie.
yeah,
It feels, we keep hearing this, but it's kind of true. This is one of the most comic books movies have ever made. And it feels that way in terms of its tone. There's even some things dialogue wise that feel straight ripped from a comic that don't necessarily work for a feature film.
mm,
And I could really feel that. And there's something, and I think one thing that we might differ on, I like his speech at the end. I really works for me. I bet it doesn't work for you. But tell me about those two things, the pacing and the dialogue. What do you think?
yeah. I mean, the pacing outside of just a clunky beginning of the movie, it didn't bother me. The pacing didn't bother me too much. I think the movie has a hard time getting its feet under it. Basically, once we get to the interview with Clark and Lois, I think that's when the movie kind of finds its legs and just takes
And
off.
that's a long sequence of
It
talking.
is, and it's the first time we just we get chemistry. Their chemistry is so good, but like it just we just get a moment to sit with the characters, and I think that's what makes the rest of the movie work. But it's a little rough till we get there, at least a little bit. And again, this is just first watch, so maybe I'm sure it feels different on a second. But I mean, the dialogue is a huge, to me, egregious thing, and specifically Ma and Pa Kent were rough. And it wasn't just the dialogue; it was also the delivery, which I may put more in the hands of the director than the actor in this one, because it felt like pretty specific, hammy Southern that did not feel authentic. And it's very easy to get authentic Southern people on screen. To me, that's just an easy thing to do, and I don't know why we didn't. And then even just like pause, emotional moment. I mean, I don't know. I just didn't think the actor delivered it in a very strong way. Like I almost felt like David Cornsweet was having to like make up for a little bit of a weaker performance in the scene or something. It just didn't land. Like I know what it was trying to be, and I'm just like, man, that just did not hit like it needed to for me to make me like, I don't know, get in my feels in that moment. So yeah, that's the most egregious point, but there is just generally at times clunky dialogue, and we're gonna get that sometimes with expository people, or yeah, I agree. Like
One of the
Jimmy,
worst ones was Engineer. Whenever they're in the fortress, she says, like, Lex is like,
what I
you
gave
know,
up half of
I
my
gave up.
humanity for this, or
Well,
something.
she says, well, yeah, but she goes, I know, Lex. I gave up my entire humanity but it's
Yes, and
like
well,
he,
but like
but he would know that, right?
if you close your eyes and imagine this was Justice League, you don't bat an eye. Like the cartoon that we watched as a
Sure.
kid, it doesn't feel out of place at all, does it? No,
No,
like that's
no, no, no.
you expect those lines because they've got 20 minutes to tell a story and there's no other way to do it.
And they're talking to kids.
Yes, and so you're right. I agree. That was
That's bad.
like we could have been a little more subtle with that. But to me, at the I do hold the Mon Pa Kent thing a little bit more of as a strike against the movie, because I think that relationship could have been more of a catalyst of the film, and like a moment that I didn't believe that moment is why Clark went on and saved the day. Like it didn't have the punch it needed to make me like, okay, this is why he's, you know what I mean? Like the montage at the
I
end,
feel like we lost some stuff in
beautiful
the cutting
and
room
sweet.
floor with them.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
yeah,
yeah. I agree. I know what you're saying, and also particularly because the movie was originally called Superman Legacy, and it was billed as torn between his human
Sure.
heritage and his Kryptonian heritage. And we get that with the plot a little bit in terms of
Yeah.
just the mechanism of the recording. But I agree, we didn't. It feels like, oh, it's Pa Kent. You're already supposed, like, it was, the idea was like, it's Pa Kent, Superman. You're already supposed to feel that connection, and they
Yeah.
didn't feel like they needed
Yeah.
to work for it. And
Yes.
I feel like, whenever we got the castings for them a year ago, I was like, whoa, that's a big swing. Like, that is not my Pa Kent. Like, I think Richard Donner and then even Kevin Costner was an amazing Pa Kent. Even John
Even though
Snyder
he
in
had
Smallville.
the role was
Um,
stupid, but yeah, he
well,
was a
the
good cast,
the
but it was a
plot around
horrible,
him was not the
horrible.
greatest. His decisions as a character were not the greatest. But when he talked to Clark, when he had that gravitas of a
Yeah.
legacy actor, and he felt
Yeah.
warm, and he felt like he
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
trying to set Clark on the right path in a lot of ways. But I think Ma is more egregious than Pa was, and like it kind of felt like
There was
not
nothing
because,
there, honestly.
well, not because of like her accent so much, which I think was really strong. Like it throws me off because
It
I'm
was
from
bad.
Arkansas,
It was
and like
bad,
in
yeah.
other than like what, maybe Alabama or Mississippi, like who has a stronger, thicker accent than
Like
Arkansans?
Delta people, but like it
Yeah,
didn't feel like a real Delta accent.
yeah, exactly. So like we live in that. Like we saw it in Arkansas, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so to me it's like, whoa, that's strong, especially considering Clark does not have an accent, also, which is
Yeah.
weird if you think about
Yeah.
it. But
Yeah.
then it's like she has a phone and they're talking into the phone, and like it makes them a little like they're just not great with technology.
Well,
And
it was trying to be comic relief and it wasn't funny. That was the problem.
yeah, I think the accent was supposed, like, he picked that to be, it's like it's bigger than life. Like it's supposed to be
Yeah.
funny and
Yeah.
clunky, but it just doesn't work.
And again, in a cartoon version of it, it does. Like that's how they would do that. Because again, you're right. They're kids and we don't have time. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, it is a bit rough. And again, I just think because unfortunately, because that's rough, that kind of undercuts the kind of the Clark's internal arc a little bit for the film, just in terms of like choosing which parents to claim in some way, or which whose son is he really, or how to, it just because that moment with them wasn't strong, it's hard to believe this is such a big, I believe it in a logical sense of knowing what the character of Superman is, knowing his story. I didn't believe it on screen as much. You know what I'm saying? Like the ending montage was great and sweet and emotional, and mainly because I'm a dad and like thinking about my own kid and those kinds of memories. But it wasn't because I felt Clark and his parent. Like I felt that dynamic so strongly. I was there with them. Now that said, I mean, I think in that way, David Cornsweet, I think, kind of outperforms
He does.
what
His
he
his
had to
facial
work with.
reactions in like the montage at the end, if you want to call it that, and just like how he reacts to the
It
world
was an
around him.
in-universe montage. Yeah, it was. It was
It
a
in universe one, yeah, exactly. But no, let's kind
diegetic.
of let's pull on this thread here. So it's on my list. Superman's arc, and I think this could kind of fall under maybe one of the negatives, but maybe it's debatable because Superman is
It's not one of the
interesting.
strengths,
Yeah, it's
unfortunately.
not it's not one of the strengths. Yeah, so it's like it's debatable in terms of like he is similar. We've been saying this for a long time to Captain America, right?
Yeah.
So Captain America, Steve Rogers' arc in the first film, and even kind of the second, even kind of the third in a lot of ways. Third is a little different, but one and two, it's like there's this character. And he doesn't change. Like his
Right.
morals don't change. His information changes to what he learns about things, but he still is the same character. He
Yeah.
was Steve Rogers before and after the serum.
Yeah.
He's Steve Rogers, before
Yeah.
Shield is bad, after Shield
Yeah.
is bad,
Yeah.
and so but it's the world is changing around him, and it's how he reacts to that
And
world and
and,
how he
and it was
affects other characters.
well, and the question is, will the world change? Will what he encounters this time, will it actually change him this like right, that's
Yeah,
kind of the stakes of, especially with like Winter Soldier. It's like, is all of the information he's about to learn, will it change who he is? And in the end it doesn't, and that's why he saves Bucky. I mean, that's why he wins. But
yeah.
but it's like it is an interesting character where it's like it feels different than Indiana Jones, even because it's like Indiana Jones doesn't have as strong, like, we don't admire
Things are just
Indiana Jones
yeah.
because of his strong morals. We admire him because he's a badass and he gets shit done, and he's just you know, he's Indiana Jones, but Captain America is like, he's a Boy Scout, you know what I mean? And so it is like, it feels like every time it's a question of, can he maintain his morals in an even more fucked up world than he encountered last time? Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is a lot of like, even in the comics, even in the cartoon, that is a lot of what was Superman too, right? It's like
he's called Big Blue, the Big Blue Boy Scout.
And pretty much every version of Superman that's like an Elseworld is a version where he doesn't maintain his morals. Like that's, you know what I mean? Like it's just, he gives up his, you know, he becomes a government stooge, or he just becomes completely evil, or he's born in, like, it's just, you know what I mean? It's very,
which you can see, like, you know, with that dilemma, why Zack Snyder was interested in Superman going bad and him killing Batman, and like the you know, the injustice kind of like future world. You can see like Zack Snyder was like, oh, Boy Scout's not interesting. What can I do with that? I'm going to do. So you see that leap easily from like from a writer filmmaker perspective. But I think it does succeed in some ways in terms of how we see some of the characters around him change, how he inspires people. I think they could have done a little more in that area, and we'll get into that. But Superman himself, I mean, for our audience, if they have or haven't seen it, again, this is a spoiler territory.
They shouldn't be listening at this point if they haven't.
They should not. And we'll see. It's only the title, spoiler review. It does make sense. But Superman really he is Superman. He is the Big Blue Boy Scout. He does good. He saves everybody. He believes in saving all life. And he also thinks there's inherent kindness and goodness in everyone, even Lex, even the engineer, even his clone, which we see him like talk to them in certain ways where it's like, which I think is great. And so he gets a recording, right? He first half the message sent to him with Krypton. The recording is basically like, we sent you to Earth because our planet's dying. We want you to instill hope in people, protect them, be their savior, and blah, blah, blah. And that to him, that message, according to him, is his most prized possession. Like it gives him meaning as to why he's there and why he has these abilities and why he's an outcast. Yeah. The recording was only half there. The engineer finds it in the Fortress of Solitude. Lex uses that online and starts making people turn against him.
Yeah, which it felt Superman a little quick, a little too immediate. To me.
Yeah,
it was just like one video and everyone's throwing cans at him now. Like, you know. It was just like. He literally just saved all your asses, like literally 5 seconds ago. Yeah,
there's a little in there. It's a little Invincible, by the way, also. But there's also this little thing about like, you know, Lex is like, hey, he is being a good guy to manipulate you to break your barriers down. So there's they try to fix that, what you're talking about with the dialogue, with the plot. But I agree, it's too fast. But Superman doesn't really change. He is down. He is sad.
He questions his nature, maybe, or I mean, like he's questioning: is he who he really thinks he is? Basically, right? Like that's
which is interesting because it's not like he's done anything bad. You know what I'm saying? That's why if he had done something on accident, which again would make him. I mean, I'm not complaining about it, but it's a weird plot thing to kind of work with.
It is. It would have been stronger if they could have connected it more to the whole international politics arc of what he did in, like, if they had made me believe he was actually starting to question if what he did was right over there. I don't think he ever really does. And to a degree, it makes sense. But, like, I think you're right in that it would have been stronger if it was, like, somehow he begins to question if what he did was right. And then he finds out this information that what if you come from a dictator's family? Like, what if what you did over there was right, what your father would have done? Like, that would have been really strong.
But that's it. You fixed it. Yeah, that's 100% it. It's literally he's like even arguing with Lois in that thing of like, I was trying to save lives. Why can you not see that? And like it's all pure. Like his intention is pure.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe like there's something inherent about me about power and projecting power. Yes. And like, is this me? Did I make those decisions, or did my father make those decisions?
It's my DNA. Yeah, exactly.
Dude, you got chills. We just fixed it. Sorry, James Gunn. Yeah. Yeah,
Oh
that's what
man.
happens. That's what happens when you think about this kind
Yeah.
of stuff too long. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's a great end there. But yeah, so it's clunky, right? And so by the time he gets to the Kent farm again, he's not made decisions that hurt impact other people. He's still trying to save baby Joey. He's trying to find crypto. He's trying to do these things, and he by the time he gets to Pa Kent, we get that speech, and that speech doesn't hit as hard because Superman hasn't showed us that he is his actions aren't there.
Right.
But again,
Right.
it's still to me it still works because I love the line about it's not as strong as it could be, but it works
No.
because he says the way what you thought
Yeah.
was the rest of the message says more about you than what the
Yeah.
rest of the message says. What a great line.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
that's a great line.
And it's a good line. I mean, it's your decisions and your actions. What you do is what defines you. I love that.
And here's the thing too, like some people online are like they made Pa and Ma Kent stupid. I said earlier that they made them a little inept with technology, but Pa Kent is not stupid. He literally
Very
said
wise. He's got a
he
lot of
is.
wisdom. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He said, "Look, we give kids tools. Where it's not our job to
Yeah.
make choices for them." That's very wise. And
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
would say most parents never
Yeah.
operate or think about
Especially
things that kind of way at
southern
all,
ones, and a lot of
especially
times.
Southern ones. And so he is not stupid at all.
No.
You know,
No.
and yeah, and so I think it's a
It
weird
is a little
complaint
bit. I mean,
online.
I do think. I mean, it's like kind of that. Like, who knows how educated he is, but he's very wise. You know what I mean?
Sure,
Like, and I
sure.
think it's like he's got that country wisdom. It's just that,
Well, I'm going to check the Snyder Bros every now and then through this podcast, and that's one of the checks. Everyone's like they made him an idiot basically, and I'm like, no, he's not dumb. It's just you're thinking about his accent you're thinking he's dumb because of his
no.
accent.
Kevin Costner was the idiot. He
And
literally
he's
like told him not to save kids, and then waved his hand away at the fucking tornado. His son moves faster than light. Who's gonna see? Yeah. He was the idiot. God damn.
yeah,
Such
it's
a
not him.
perfect
It was
casting.
the writer.
It could have been.
What a
It
perfect
could have been
casting.
good, but it wasn't.
It was. I mean, the to me my favorite Paw thing. It sounds terrible, but is in the first Superman movie where he dies. It's like he has a heart attack, and it's like he's not Superman yet, and it's kind of like
Yeah.
all the power in the world, and you can't
Yeah.
stop things
Yeah.
sometimes, and
Yeah.
it's like this reminder that life is fragile, and yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it's beautiful and Donner's
Yeah.
film.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think
Though
the
the
art
guy that
thing
plays
is
young Superman is not very good at acting, I will say, in that movie.
in the first
He
movie,
looks a
yeah.
hell of a lot like Mark Hamill. It's weird how much he
Oh,
looks like Mark Hamill,
does.
but he's not a
Yeah.
good actor.
He's not the
He's just got
best.
that- he's just got that classic like 70s stage acting and film.
Yeah.
To him.
I love it. And we can talk about, two things real quick, and I'm going to tie back into the
Yeah.
opening of this. I think also two more negatives that we have against this is the cinematography to me is just, it feels like James, like if after Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and then really 3 and then Suicide Squad, he like started developing this really interesting kind of camera movement thing. It just doesn't work for me.
Sure.
And there's some things that look really cool or great, but a lot of the things I'm just like, I like the tone, I like the world, but like I want the cinematography of like Captain America Civil War. Like I want the serious in that, but the tone to be different. And I feel like it does match his like comedy and stuff, but there's got to be a best of both worlds here that's like, I don't know. We just haven't hit it yet.
Well, the
Maybe
good
we'll
thing is
get
he's
that.
not directing everything, right? So that's the good
Yes.
thing. And so
Yes.
we should get some variation visually. And maybe somebody else will do something and kind of he'll more copy
Set the
that or
tone.
something.
Yeah, set the standard.
I mean like the like right up on his face shot where he's flying, the CGI still didn't look very good to me. Like, and I will say the CGI was not 100% in this movie.
No.
It needed another month or two, honestly, probably in the CGI.
There's like, I think one thing interesting about DC is they typically get their movies done kind of early.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much on this. This one finished VFX shots a little later, but they were still done, right? Marvel works up to the last line. Sometimes they're successful, sometimes they're not. Like literally the last line. Sometimes they update visual effects from theater to Disney Plus. But Disney or Warner Brothers seems like they're like, oh, this is our budget and we're not going to cap. Like they seem really strict, and they're like, we're not going to cap that. And you get things like the Flash, you get things like this, and the Flash was done way in advance. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
but they didn't have a lot of time to work on it, and their budget was capped. So anyway,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
last complaint here is the score. There's moments where I found myself last couple days like humming some of the musical beats, and I'm like, oh, that's Superman. But overall, the score is not amazing. It doesn't hit all the right places. It sounds like now there was some maybe drama behind the scenes with John Murphy and the new guy they brought in,
I saw
Davis,
that.
and like that maybe a lot of John Murphy stuff got thrown out, and Davis came in last second and kind of
And
scored
John
things. And
Murphy has done like all of Gunn's projects up to now, right? Or most of them.
he did Guardians 3, which I also think
Oh,
is
okay.
the weakest of the three in terms of score and film wise, but it's also the weakest
Yeah.
of the three score
The
wise.
Guardians one score is the best easily.
Oh, like that actual like theme
Yeah,
is
it's great.
amazing. It's
Really good.
amazing.
Really, really good.
And the score only works really here whenever we are getting the John Williams theme. When you hear that, you're like, oh
Absolutely.
yeah, that's when it works. And
Yep.
it's not really even their score then.
No.
So but yeah, that's really
Agreed.
all my complaints about it. And we can kind of talk about more stuff. But let's kind of get into the positives. And the first one will kind of tie back to Superman 1, talking about the, young Clark Kent and John and Pa Kent or Pa and Ma on the farm, the first half of Superman. The first half of Superman, the movie, Richard Donner's 1978, is like this sweeping epic. It's got the wide shots that we push in. It's got the beautiful John Williams score. The second half is really goofy.
Sure.
And it fits more comic booky. And I love the whole movie, but that first half,
Yeah.
I love the mythic
I love
aspect
the
of it.
stuff on Krypton. I love the stuff
Oh,
on
dude.
Krypton. It's so
Even when
good.
it's so good, even when Marlon Brando's like talking to him and you're getting
Yeah.
like you're going through space and he's like telling him
Yes.
about the knowledge, like, and
Yeah.
then you see Superman in the fortress and he's like, I give them you, my son. Oh, I'm getting chills talking about it. And then
It's
he
a
flies off to the
great,
camera.
great start.
Oh man, it's a great first half of that movie. And it's kind of wild how it's like two different movies combined here. So you have that tone, right? And in this tone of this world, I think again, you might be really surprised by when you get in there. But it's this weird, everyone's wearing costumes that you're not really sure what decade it could be in terms of relation to
Right.
our universe.
Sure.
There are cell phones. There's pop music that I
Yeah.
think they're listening to that are from our universe. And the tone is this zany, like
Yeah.
dialogue of like people acting crazy and just, I mean, it's kind of crazy world here.
You know, it's interesting. The tone, you know what the tone reminded me of? Black Adam.
A little bit.
Maybe
Black Adam's
it's-
a little more serious, but
It
yeah,
is,
I mean,
well, I would say Black Adam tried to be a little more serious. I'm not sure if it succeeded. It was all kind of silly to me. Like every time the Rock's character seemed silly at times in
it's
his
the kid, man.
seriousness.
The kid in that movie is just not right for that movie. But yeah,
I can't
anyway,
remember him, so that tells you that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
he's the worst part.
There, I agree. The tone is great. The tone is it is very. I mean, it's very comic booky, cartoony. Like that's the best way, in some ways, to describe it. I mean,
Where it's
yeah,
like kaiju. There's a kaiju, and people are like drinking their coffee, like, "Huh, that's interesting. That's a giant kaiju that could squash me in a second."
right, yeah. Or
Interesting.
like, they just let it out of the van, and you're like, I wonder how it's going to get bigger, and they just don't explain it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they're just like,
Yeah.
they're not worried about giving you all of the answers. They're worried about
Yeah.
showing you fun, cool characters doing cool shit. And you know what? I think that's what comic book movies should usually be worried about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, at the end of the day, the best comic movies are the Logans, right? Are the ones that are deep character studies that are not really about, that work because they're a good movie, not because they're comic book movies. But like, if I'm going to see a comic book movie, like, I like that it's, you almost don't know what's going to happen next because this world, you never know what rule they're going to make
Because the
up or
rule, the
dismiss
rules
later.
are different, so you
The
don't
rules,
know what to
they're
expect.
making up the rules as they go, and sometimes they're going to
Yeah.
break them because they want to. You know what I mean? Like it's just
Yeah. If you weren't us and you hadn't watched every trailer and dissected everything for a year and a half, and you went in, you'd be like, "What in the hell?" You'd be like, "A
Sure.
giant kaiju, like and a baby kaiju, and then like
Yeah.
a baby alien named Joey. Oh, there's an anti-proton river, and there's
Right,
a pocket
right.
dimension."
Yes,
Mr. Terrific
yeah.
has T-spheres. Guy Gardner has a Green Lantern ring. There's a hot girl. There's a guy who can transform into kryptonite. And then there's this talking, or there's a crypto, the dog. I mean, it's like, it is
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Robots, in the Fortress of Solitude, Superman
Yes,
getting
yes.
powered up by a magnifying glass from the sun.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, right. Like,
you know,
yeah, exactly.
oh, it's crazy. It's wild. It's
Yeah.
really wild. Lex, whenever the thing is splitting, he's like, fuck it. We always prepared. Click, click, Otis, and it drops and it floats.
Yes.
It's just like, it
Yeah.
is crazy. And it does help you in terms of, I would wonder if we were writing this film, if we were writing a sequel or something in this universe, would that allow us to get around so many, like, I feel like we're always trying to explain
Mm.
ourselves because we're
Hmm.
writing character pieces in these realistic worlds. What would would we be free from shackles if we could just be like, there's a baby kaiju. How'd it get bigger? Where'd it come from? Doesn't
I
matter.
think in some ways, yes, because I think initially you think, oh well, realism, grounds it, makes you feel more connected to it because it feels more real. And I would agree. The Infinity Saga really, that was a strength of it. Was it feeling, especially the first half, was it feeling like our world but superheroes were in it? But now they're running into the issue of they keep growing the universe, they keep expanding it, more sci-fi concepts. Now we're doing time travel, now we're doing multiverses, and they can't keep it grounded because the concepts they're doing and the characters they're bringing in aren't grounded at all. And
And
so
they can
now
keep it
we
consistent.
and so now we have this universe that feels inconsistent, that feels like it can't decide whether it's going to be realistic or not, depending on the movie. I mean, like New York and Daredevil feels very different from New York and other movies that we've gotten. Like, you know what I mean? There's just this feeling of like, what the fuck's going on here? And it doesn't, it can't maintain that realism and tell these ridiculous stories that they're wanting to tell. And so in some ways, it almost feels like a future-proofed direction
Yeah, it really
because
does.
okay, yeah, maybe we want to start with Batman Begin, these grounded street level superheroes, but eventually we do want to do multiverse. Eventually we do want to do Dark Side and Boom Tubes and Flash going back in time, a good Flashpoint. You know what I mean? Like we want to do these really fun stories that, again, even when you look at comic books, like that stuff is all just at the end of the day set dressing for you to get involved in the characters' arcs, right? Like, even as kids, like
Yeah.
it's just things that delight you and like give you like make your eyes pop because it's colorful and bright and cool and epic. But like that's just like the carrot that gets you to get involved in the characters' arcs, and that's what keeps you in. That's what keeps you reading the comic books. Is what happens next with Batman. You know what I mean? What's
Yeah.
going to happen next with Soup? So like, I guess it makes sense. It's just, it is a very different way to go. And I mean, at the end of it, I guess we'll see. I mean, I think it's smart, but it is one of those things of like, it works until it doesn't, you know?
It works until it doesn't. Here's the interesting parable to comic books is that I can't remember which artist or writer said this, but comic books always start on Act Two. They never
Mm,
start on Act One. Act One is the
mm,
origin. That's issue one, baby. After
yeah.
that, every issue, every story is Act Two. And guess
Mm,
what? There's never an Act Three because we don't want it to end. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's some artist writer said that. I need to look it up who said it, but like, it's very rare we have gotten endings to comic books. And if there was an ending,
Right.
the
Right.
next issue is a reboot or something happened, the universe
Right.
changed.
Right.
But that's very rare it's happened ever, like in 70 plus to
Yeah.
100 years. So
Yeah.
yeah, all comics start at Act Two. There's never an Act Three, and there's only one origin. There's only one Act One. And so it's very interesting in towards this universe. We start with that opening of which I thought was really fun and clever. 300 years ago, we've had metahumans.
Yeah.
What blah blah blah. 3 minutes ago, Superman lost his first battle. I liked all of that. I thought that was a
Yeah.
cool way to get us right into the story fast. And I agree. I think you're right. All the world, the tone is window dressing. And what matters, it doesn't matter where the kaiju come from. It doesn't matter how he got big or whatever. What matters is seeing how Superman reacts to the
Yes.
kaiju.
Seeing
Is
him not
seeing
want to kill
Superman
him. Seeing him have
catch the kaiju and then get
compassion.
backed up and the glass breaks barely. Like that is a
Yes.
perfect
Saving the squirrel.
Superman moment. Saving the squirrel. How he tries to deal with the kaiju versus them. Even getting information of
Yes.
like, we could have taken him to an intergalactic zoo
Yeah.
or,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it seems like
Which
you're like,
makes you
whoa,
think of like
where,
his zoo that
where's,
he eventually makes at the Fortress of Solitude, right? At least in the
yeah,
animated series. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't even think about that. That's great. Or how does the Superman know about intergalactic zoo? What's his other adventures
Right.
he's been on?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know
No.
what I'm
Right.
saying?
It makes. It was. Oh, this. He's been around. He's not just he's not that green, right?
Yeah.
Like even though he's still new, he's not completely green. And I think they even do that later when you get the Supergirl cameo, which is great. We should talk about. But no, I agree. And I think even the what was even yes, we get to see like Superman do those things, but it was even almost more informative was how like the Justice Gang reacted to it. It was just like good grief, like that was so good, and they just made it just completely made you understand. Okay, Superman is literally he has a heart of gold, but everyone rolls their eyes at it because it and in some ways it made you feel like oh they're rolling their eyes at a way a lot of people roll their eyes at Superman. Like come on, this is you know. Come on, man. Like, you know, and so I think it made it just, it immediately made you understand what they're going to do with what they're trying to do with Superman here, what they're showing him as being in the face of a world that rolls their eyes at like being nice and basic kindness and, you know, saving squirrels. Superman's still going to save squirrels. You know what I mean? And so I think, I don't know, that I agree. Like you're right. It wasn't about why the kaiju became the kaiju. It was about getting those reactions, setting the tones, introducing the characters.
Yeah, and there's two things here. I think one, I do think we are aligned with Superman, which we get really Superman way more than Clark Kent. We're aligned with him in terms of seeing how this guy operates and what his values and morals are.
Yes.
But at the same time, we're aligned with the Justice Gang until the end. Right? You know, in terms of like we are rolling. You know, I love Superman. He's my boy, right? But the average audience might be aligned with them. Like, man, why is this guy trying to save this giant monster?
Right.
He could potentially kill people, even if he, you know, and you could argue that. It's just a thing that's scared and doesn't know what's going on, and it got giant, and it doesn't even know why, you know. And so you're kind of rolling your eyes, and by the time the movie ends, by the time we get to that climax, the Justice Gang is kind of like, all right, we're going to start helping Superman or whatever. Which this is kind of also a weak point for me. I was under the impression that going into this is that Superman, and he does inspire them to come to Baravia. I think it's how you pronounce it, but I don't know if we earned that with the Justice Gang. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Terrific is kind of there. He says he doesn't really care, and he's there to kind of piss off Green Lantern, even though I think he's interested in like, I think he does care. Obviously, he's really intelligent. He's got his own set of morals and values, which are high. But I don't know. I feel like that wasn't earned as much to me other than like, I mean, Green Lantern is just sitting there like looking at a newsreel eating cereal, drinking a glass of milk, and you know, and he's like, he just changes his mind, you know, like even though he sees Soups do whatever, we don't really see. I don't know. Did you feel that at all?
I didn't, because to me, I honestly read that more as Guy realizing that they needed a good PR moment, almost like to me that almost felt like interesting, like them being more like, oh, great, now we have to participate, because if we don't, we look like assholes. That was kind of like what I read, that at least from Guy, right? Like I don't like Hot Girl. We didn't really get enough of her to understand how she felt, or like why she was doing what she was doing. I liked her; she was a cool character. I mean, the actress is great. She's in everything right now.
Last of Us, something else,
many other things. Yeah. Oh, she was in Alien. The
just started the
Alien
night
movie,
again.
and
Romulus.
Bunch of stuff. Yep. And just something else she was just into. Anyway, so like, I agree. Yeah, I agree. That to me, like, even especially like just the fact that it was like you got an upgrade, and then he does the middle finger.
One of the best lines of the movie.
It was one of the best moments, and to me, it really felt like this is like him trying to do good PR for the Justice Gang. Like this is. We're mandated to do this because everyone now realizes Superman's right, and if we don't, we're an asshole. And now, are there I think Guy's more complex than maybe he first seems. I think it's probably a little of both, right? It's like, he's a little peacemaker, he is a little bit. Yeah. He is inspired. I mean, there is part of it that's inspired, but mostly he's doing this because he looks good, and it looks good for the Justice Gang, and he can show up and say you got an upgrade. You know what I mean? Like they can. It's almost like like, let's go do Superman a favor. He'll owe us now. Like I just feel like there's an element of self-serving that I read into that moment at the end. Like, yes, they're inspired, but they're also really doing this for themselves in a lot of ways.
And to be fair, Mr. Terrific does not go to Barabia. He's like, he calls Superman, hey, I need you to come help fix the planet. So
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
technically there, technically.
No, and
Um,
I agree. I think Mr. Terrific feels separate just because of how he involved he is with
yeah.
Lois
With his little, yeah,
and with
exactly.
rescuing Soups. I mean, he's the
Yeah.
reason they get out of the pocket dimension, you know. And so he and you're right. Even from the beginning, he's like, I just want to piss off guy. Like, yeah, that's funny, and I'm sure that part of that's true. But there was a deeper, like, even like when the way he was looking at Lois, like the kind of reaction shots we were getting from him when she's in there asking him, like you could tell he's more emotionally involved in being a good guy, like of doing the right thing. You know,
Yeah.
that was a bit more mattered to him more. Um, yeah, and what a great character. What a fun. And like, you know, Mr. Terrific's great. Like he's very involved, especially in a lot of like the dark side arcs in the animated
Mm.
movies and shows. Like he's a pretty consistent character and he's very cool. But it's great for him to get more of a spotlight and to kind of get this like black exploitation Tony Stark character is just is what a fun guy.
I can't think of that. And it's is it maybe Henry Hetheridge? He was I can't think of his character name in X-Men First Class, but he was a really
Mm,
cool character in that. He died super
yeah,
quick, and
yeah,
he just was very unceremonious, and as a lot of people were really disappointed by that. I'm
yeah,
glad he's getting a second wind here, and
yes.
he was a
He's so
standout, of
good.
course. He was so great. He was just cool character. His attitude, like you're saying, kind of a black exploitation kind of thing.
Like he felt like a
Um,
Black Panther in the '70s, but with Tony Stark
Oh
too.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
100%. That's a perfect
And it's
analogy of that. Yeah.
and it's just like this guy's motherfucking bad. And like I don't need your help.
Yeah.
I'm goddamn Mr. Terrific. I mean, like that's
Yeah. And
one
the
of the
way
best lines
his
of the movie.
cadence, that was,
Yeah,
I like how
yeah,
he grabs that guy's face and just like, and like shoves
yeah,
like, it just
yeah.
little things like that. You're like, you love,
Yes,
and one thing
yes,
I give James Gunn credit for, he's done this with Guardians, he's done this with Suicide Squad and Peacemaker. He can take nobody characters and make you fall in love
yes,
with them. Mr. Terrific,
yes,
I knew who he was, but most people
yes.
didn't. Green Lantern had kind of a bad rap after
Guy
the
Gardner
first movie.
specifically,
Guy
even
Gardner, I
no
was
one.
nervous,
Yeah, I
and
don't think
I
anyone was
mean,
like looking for like they were like, okay, this will be interesting. But I don't think anyone was like, yeah, Guy
I was I was not,
Gardner.
I mean, I'm all for Guy Gardner. I love Guy Gardner, but I was nervous based on what I saw
Sure.
in the trailers and whatever. And as soon as we got home from the movie, I ordered his ring, so it's on the way, baby. And so I'm
That's
excited to get
awesome.
that in. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, just him. I mean, his line, "Sorry, kid, Superman couldn't make it. You just got an upgrade." That's like
So you got enough. Oh man,
amazing.
I
Oh,
know.
it's so
Yeah.
good. And it's also great because we saw that moment in the trailer from day one, and you're imagining Superman is going to come at that moment.
Right.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
what a great flip for James
Yes.
Gunn and the audience. But yeah, so we can talk about these other characters too. Like I think David Corn Sweat, people have been complaining. I say it's a small minority. It's the Snyder Bros or whatever about how Henry Cavill can't be replaced. He's the best Superman. I'm like, you forgot about a guy named Christopher Reeve, who was
Yeah.
an amazing Clark Kent, amazing
Yeah.
Superman. But David Corn Sweat, maybe not so much Clark Kent, but that man is Superman.
Yeah.
The way he talks, and just his characterization. I think the moment the movie really clicks, if you
Mm.
weren't understanding yet of what this character was, is when we got to talk about the moment itself as well. Is when Clark is in his apartment and Lois gives him cocoa,
Mm-hmm.
as she says. They have this dimensional lip in the background, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Green Lantern's hitting it with a bat, and the way it bounces off the thing
He's
is
just like,
just
"Bah!"
funny.
But like, yeah, because
It's
he's just like
ridiculous, but the
whacking it with a
animation,
stick. It just looks like he's
yeah.
just whack. Like
But
they're,
it's yeah,
yeah,
the
it's so
animators
good.
killed it on that one. They
Yeah.
made that
Yeah.
they made Gunn look better in that moment.
Yeah. Well, it
And
kind of
so
redeemed that first
it
publicity
does because
photo
it
that
gives you
everyone
context as
yelped
to what's
about.
happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Myself included, I thought it was
Well,
a
and
poor
everyone was like,
mistake.
"Why isn't he helping?" And now you're like, "There was a reason. There was a
There's a
reason."
reason.
Yeah.
There was a reason. You gotta wait. And I
Yeah.
agree. I mean, I was in I understood there was going to be a reason,
Sure.
but I also thought it was a mistake. I'll stand by
Yeah.
it. So,
I won't argue.
but the moment that if you weren't sure yet of what this character was, she's like, why are you going to go out there? And he's like, I'm going to go look for crypto. She's like, why? I'm going to turn myself in. Why? Because they might know where crypto's at and I can't find
Yeah.
him. And she's like, why are you going to do that for a dog? And he's like, he's not even a good dog.
Yeah.
He said, but he's out there, he's alone, and he's probably afraid.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I'm getting chills, Daniel.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is Superman to a
Yeah.
T. And
Yeah.
that is why David Cornsweet and James Gunn, who wrote this character, this version, and inspired by years and years of other writers,
Sure.
that they nailed Superman. They did it. That was the most important thing, one of the
I
most
agree.
important things from this movie. And
I
so
agree.
loved it.
The most important part was understanding, having a new appreciation for Superman, like liking the character more, not just David Cornsweet, not
Sure.
just this interpretation, but the actual just Superman the character. How do you and I feel like the majority of the reaction is wow, Superman. Like I like Superman more now. I like I understand the character more. I understand he's more interesting than I maybe used to think about him as, right? Like I think Superman is just such an easy character to like make fun of because of his name, because of his costume, because of like his literal, truth, justice, in the American way. There's a lot of things that feel corny or cheesy about just at the base level of, or just the surface level of what his character is. But when you get in deeper, there's a lot of really interesting things, and you can really do a lot of really interesting things with his character. And I think that's what this movie showed us, is for one, just who he is, but also the potential for what you can do with this kind of character. Because I think that's the thing, is like once you're understanding his values or what he's willing to do, how he's willing to sacrifice himself for the most seemingly inconsequential person or thing or animal. I think too, it's just like your mind starts, at least mine starts like, oh man, what is he going to have to eventually put up with? Like, what are they going to put this guy through? You know what I mean? What are they
They've
going
made
to
his character so concrete in terms of what you're talking about, his actions and morals, is that they're going to have to put something. It's not gonna be like something big, but they can really challenge that in a lot of hard and difficult ways.
even with, I mean, I know the big rumor is that, I mean, James Gunn has pretty much already said the next time we're going to see Superman isn't going to be like Superman 2. It's not going to be a sequel to
Right.
this movie, right? And I think a lot of people are wondering if it's going to be World's Finest, right? Like that's the big,
Yeah.
like Batman Superman team up, right? And I think even like, I mean, like obviously thinking about the end war Infinity game equivalent of whatever this DC universe is going to build to, the dark side moment, whatever it is, seeing Superman's goodness tested to the degree, like losing people and like that. Yes, that is going to be really interesting. And like, I really believe David Cornsweet is going to deliver in spades in those moments. But even just interacting with a character like Batman, who has a very different view of morality and criminality, and like there's so much potential to make those rub up against each other. But then like I think too, like knowing where he's coming from and where he's going with this, I think one of the best parts of the animated series of Superman, Batman, the Justice League is the Batman Superman like bromance, right? Like this like they trust each other more than any other superhero, like to trust the other one and know the other one, right? Like it's like that, like I know Bruce and I would trust him with anything. And like it's kind of the opposite way with, right? Like it's like
Yeah, dude, I'm gonna start crying, dude.
yeah,
Yeah.
like it's just like this, like they understand they're different and that they see things different, but there's just this undeniable trust of like, I know your character and I know you'll do the right thing. More I trust that in you more than almost anybody else in this world, that I know you'll do the right thing.
Dude, you're 100% correct. Daniel, you should be writing for the DCU because you
And
get
I
it.
cannot wait until we get to those moments. Like that's where I'm like, fuck. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about that. That's going to be so. David Cornsweet is going to do that so good.
Well, there's a lot of parallels here. Again, we'll say Superman is Cap, and Tony
Yeah,
Stark
yeah.
will be Batman, right? He'll be the
Right.
the more
Sure.
more character, inherently good, and and this is what the magic of the MCU used to be. That when you see a character and they're introduced, you're like, oh man, I cannot wait to see them interact with so and so. That was the joy of the MCU, and now we're in a place where we just hope they don't mess it up. Like we hope they don't mess the
Yeah.
movie up.
Yeah.
Right. And so like you're right, seeing Cornsweet and his characterization of Superman, and like I'm just like, man, I cannot wait to see him, that version, up against the Flash or the Batman or Green Lantern or Aquaman, and like
Even the
the universe
Arrow. I guess
truly
Arrow
has
is like
started.
Green Arrow
Oh
is
yeah.
like DC's real Tony Stark, like rich ass, sarcastic asshole, right? Like that's the DC's version in some
Yeah.
ways.
He's like the DC versus the Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man.
Yes, yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes,
yeah,
yes.
exactly. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So, like, even just though there'll be humor opportunities, there'll be heartbreak opportunities, there'll be just crisis of
Oh man.
conscience, right? Like, I can't wait for the moment where it's Superman versus another superhero on what to do, and neither of them are wrong. You know what I mean? Like those kind of
Yeah.
when you have this kind of character and you establish him so strong of his moral basis. I mean, what you have now to do is to test it to its limit. How far can we push his morals to see if he will break? But obviously, we know he won't because he's Superman. But like, you know what I mean? Like it's like that's the drama though. That's the best parts.
It is. And like the thing that you said just a second ago, I want to capitalize on it. I cannot wait for the moment where Batman is literally against the corner.
Yeah.
And Batman knows it and he planned for it. And he's like,
Yes.
he's giving the bad guy a speech and
Yes.
the bad guy, he's like, and Batman's like basically like, look, I put my faith in this moment into
Yeah.
one person.
Yes.
And that person is
Yes.
Superman. And then Superman comes from a different galaxy or something
Yeah,
and knocks
yeah,
the fuck
just-
out of a guy.
Yeah,
That's the
exactly.
moment where it's like where Batman's like, I
He's
trust
like, you're
this
right. I
person
can't beat
that I'm
you. So I called in a friend. You know what I mean? Yes.
dude,
Yeah.
chills. Chills. There's this moment in the comics, Daniel, and like I have to see it before I die. It's a moment where Superman literally is lost in darkness and he starts going to the light and he's like galaxies away from Batman and what's happening on Earth.
Yeah.
And he goes to the light and it's the sun. And he basically starts going through the sun and it's like powering him up. He's going through sun after sun after sun. And he's basically like pinging to each sun. He's getting faster and stronger. And Batman's giving this bad guy like a monologue. And Batman's basically like, I'm saying, and he basically tells the bad guy, I calculated how long it would take Clark to get here if Clark could see the light. And I trust that he did because he is the only person I trust to do what's fixing to happen. And then out of nowhere, Superman's like glowing gold at this point because he's, you know what I'm talking, he just knocks the fuck out of that. You know what I'm saying? That's what I needed. I need to moment, Daniel, on a movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
That gives me, that's like the best Superman moment of all time. It's so good. So anyway, that's super great. I think the casting, even Rachel Brosnahan was great. They didn't give her a whole lot. I mean, she does do things in the plot, but I don't think it's because she was Lois Lane that she, you know what I'm saying? It was kind of like the really easy.
Was in the apartment. It was in the early, and it was great. I mean, again, their chemistry is really good. That scene, the chemistry kind of feels elevated above comic book movie a little bit. Like it's like those were two good actors. You could tell they had the freedom to kind of ad lib and just bounce off each other. And they did a really good job. It felt very real. It felt like a very real relationship conflict. Again, we're like, neither of them is necessarily wrong. Right. And like, you know what I mean? Like but it's causing them to question if they're compatible. You know what I mean? And I think that's just, it was great. It was great.
Hers is more of a standard, like, do I love him? Can I make this work arc?
Sure.
Classic B story arc.
Right.
And again, you know, I think you have to, if you're doing Lois Lane, you know, and they do make her the one who like figures out that the sexy selfies are incriminating Lex. But I think almost any journalist could do that, right?
That felt,
and so
that felt obvious. It was like that was a very obvious plot point, much earlier in the movie. Okay.
Well, it was just the plot going to get to where we needed to go, right? And it wasn't. I think there might have been something stronger there of like, what separates Lois Lane from every other journalist, and how could Lois do this versus anyone else in the world? I didn't get that sense, but you know, mission accomplished. Still, I love Jimmy Olsen. The guy they cast him was perfect, and I love that all the ladies thought he was hot and Tessmacher, and like I loved it. I loved all that. It's so fun and such good stuff. Another positive here, and we're getting close to the end. I love seeing Superman save people. Like, I think the best moment of the movie, maybe second best moment of the movie, is when he stops the building from falling on the woman and she's driving away. And the woman looks back and she's like crying because she just survived. And she sees this mythic god rise up from the smoke and the music hits just right. The camera's actually pretty good there, James.
Yeah.
And I get chills.
That was a really good moment.
Oh, man. So good. Of course, he saves, he's saving Crypto, saving, we already mentioned this, saving Baby Joey, saving the squirrel, trying to save the kaiju. Engineer, and he's like, when he attacks her for the first time, he's like, you don't have to do this. Like, we can
Yeah.
figure this out.
Yeah.
Even at the end of Lex, he gives a speech. He's like, Lex, I
I
hope for the
even know.
betterment.
Yeah. Even I
Yeah.
hope someday you'll come around. Basically.
Yeah, exactly. Because Superman sees the potential that Lex could, like, if Lex uses
Yeah.
this is how the comics is, if Lex uses his powers for good, the world will be so much a better place.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Superman sees that,
Yeah.
even though Superman killed the street restaurant guy, which was devastating,
Or Luther. Yeah. Yeah.
Luther, yeah, Luther did. Anyway,
Yeah.
all great
No. Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Nicholas,
Yeah.
great stuff. Um, I do want to talk about how do you feel about punk rock music in it? How do you feel about maybe kindness is the new punk rock?
I liked it. I thought it was fun. I thought it was cool. I think it surprised me. It feels very James Gunn, but it
That's like
works.
his thing, right?
In
It's
in a
like
weird way, it's
kind
almost
music.
like, this works more than I thought it would, mixing your own kind of preferences with this idea of like this idea also
I
of like
agree.
Superman being into like old style punk that isn't cool anymore, but he still thinks it's cool. Like I think that's really fun.
Well, some people
Like,
think it's cool, Lois. Yeah,
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 exactly. I
yeah.
think that's really fun for him as just as a character, and him to kind of be in this into like this like kind of corny punk a little bit. And I do think, I mean, like punk music as a genre is a really cool genre of music. It is a very much like a
It's my
rebellion.
favorite genre of
The
music,
reason it
actually.
came about was just like, especially like British punk is just like rising up against the monarchy and against against like these monarchistic fascistic ideas. It's very much a rebellion genre of, we're not going to be quiet, we're going to talk about this shit, whatever. And so I like the idea of thinking about it like you're going to be so kind it's rebellious. I think that is
It's super timely,
that's
you know?
Superman. And yes, I
Yeah.
agree. It feels timely to our day and age. Yeah.
It does. I mean, like, I think we're both pretty generally kind people, but the world doesn't feel that way, the one we're living in.
Yeah.
And it feels way darker than even the world that Superman is in, right?
Sure.
And it does feel like the last 10, 15 years has been this, parts a lot of the internet, tribalism, whatever. And yeah, we're in a place where kindness does feel on the fringe. Like, it doesn't feel like that's the first thing people go to.
No.
And so seeing someone embrace that, and I agree, I never would have thought it. I never would see. That's the thing is, when James Gunn was announced as Superman director, or when he announced himself as the director, I was like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm afraid of needle. I'm afraid of needle drops, James. I'm afraid of your cinematography. I'm afraid of your jokes for Superman. I'm afraid of you putting punk rock in Superman and
Right.
making Superman listen to punk. I'm afraid of that.
Yeah.
But then you see it and you're like, oh, I was wrong. It works. Works
Well,
really
and,
well,
and,
actually.
and it kind of fit. I mean, what is it? Is it all? Which one of the there's a Superman comic where he's like basically up against like British punk rockers.
Oh man, I don't know.
Is it
I
All
don't
Star
know that one.
Superman? It's not. It's not. It's one of the the movies that everyone
Maybe.
loves. It's like he's against a group and they're like pretending, they're like saying we're for the people or whatever, but they're like end up being kind of like, and they kind of make Superman look bad because they're more violent or more aggressive or whatever. But like it
It
is
sounds
kind
like
of
you're
this
talking
same,
about the Dark Knight Returns. You're talking about the quote unquote the mutants, because those guys are kind of punk rock. They look punk rock anyway. Um, that's what that's what it's reminding me of. I don't know. I can't think about it in terms of Superman.
okay.
But another highlight for me, as you looked at it, is I loved it when Lex is in his little tower, floating tower, and he sees Superman coming and he starts running for the portal. Like, that's just
Yes.
what a great moment. When he sees him coming, he's like, shit, I gotta run faster. And it just doesn't matter.
Yes.
Bam. He
Yeah,
gets,
yeah.
I like the speech Superman gives. I know it's a
Superman
little
versus
corny
the Elite. I'm
and
sorry.
it's a little on the nose and it kind of stretches dialogue. Oh yeah, I've seen that. It's been a long time since I've seen
Yeah,
that. But yeah,
the Elite. They're literally
Long time.
punk rockers that
they
are
come
like,
out 20 or 15 years ago.
yeah.
I need to go back. Yeah, and so I love that moment. And I think one of the coolest moments in the movie is when he fights his clone, Ultraman,
Yeah.
and then he's like, Planet Watch, take him out. And he's like, I wouldn't bet on that. and he
Mm,
boom, and you see this, and you see the symbol, and he does this wicked spin thing, and
yeah,
like he does
yeah,
the laser eye. I mean, it's all great. He uses the
yeah,
engineer as like a weapon, basically, to like
yeah,
spin, hit Ultraman, stuff like that. You're like, damn it, that's that, Daniel.
yeah,
Very cool. Anyway, I think we kind of did it, right? Too much in the
yeah.
plot. But we talked about what's important. We talked about Superman, and
One last
I
thing I will
think
say.
overall, you have
Yeah, I would just
we have some stuff I want to talk about, but go ahead. Go ahead.
I would just say, like, I do want to highlight the Supergirl cameo because I think what that also did was not
Sure.
only was it hilarious, Amelia Alcock or Amelia Alcock, I'm mispronouncing her name. Um, she's going to be perfect in the role, but it also very clearly showed the tone difference for her movie. I don't know. They released the first promotional picture today. Have you seen it?
I did. Saw it this morning.
Where it
Look
says
out,
the look out.
not
It's
look up.
perfect. It's perfect. Like it's like
Yeah,
that's perfect marketing. That's exactly how you do it. Like
it's perfect marketing.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I think it. I mean, I'm excited about a Supergirl movie. I think. I mean, I think I'd probably see it, but I'm not like I can't wait to see this like space set party girl trying to get her life together. That sounds great. I can't wait. Like that sounds super fun. So yeah.
Super fun. We have Jason Momoa in it as Lobo,
And
so
again,
that's confirmed.
perfect casting.
Well,
The perfect character for this kind of like journey she's
Yeah.
on to come up against.
if there is a God, God made Jason Momoa to be Lobo.
right,
So,
yes, yes,
like he was like,
he
you're
already
gonna be
like
Lobo one
sounds
day.
like he talks in like the animated series, like just his
Oh,
normal voice is just what Lobo
100%.
sounds like.
I mean, when he was cast as Aquaman, we were kind of like, what? You mean Lobo? Oh, Aquaman?
right,
Okay.
right.
Very weird. I do want to real quick, the big question here is Superman a success? And I got
Mm,
some numbers for it. I'm going to go down pretty quickly, and then we can kind of hash this. And I think the answer is pretty solidly there. But I do want to talk about this real quick. So, opening weekend, we're still in the eve of the opening weekend here, everyone. So obviously this will change in the coming days and weeks and months. Superman opened up to 125 million domestic, 217 million worldwide. In comparison to 2013's Man of Steel opened up to 116.6 million and 202 million worldwide. A couple things here. Superman technically started on a Tuesday. Man of Steel started on a Thursday, and it's also how many years? 12 years of inflation. So Man of Steel definitely had a bigger opening than Superman did today in terms of more butts and
sure.
seats. But also we gotta look at where we're at. Man of Steel was coming off the eve of Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight,
Yeah, yeah.
and
There's
it was
so
with
much hype about that.
Nolan's name was attached to it, right? He was as
And I
like
think
a
that's even
story
part of the reason
by.
it felt a little disappointing is because we were expecting Batman Begins with Superman, and that
Yeah.
we didn't quite get
Yeah.
that level.
Yeah, and I'm a Man of Steel apologist in a lot of ways, but
Yeah.
that happened obviously, and then we had 16 DCEU films following, where 8 of them were positive Rotten Tomato scores, and the other 8 were,
16? We got 16?
yeah, counting Zack Snyder's Justice League. That's the 16th one I'm counting, but we had 16, 8 fresh, 8 rotten. And all of them not really box office bangers except for BVS, which is still technically a disappointment, and Wonder Woman 1. And
Yeah.
so, you got to think of this. Superman was never supposed to, it would need to make good money. It needed to make its budget back, but it was never designed or never needed to be the biggest box office thing ever, or even eclipse Man of Steel. It needed to get the taste out of your mouth of the last 8 DCEU films. That's what it needed to do. And also overcome Marvel's stagnant release lately.
And
Another
it
thing
needed
you
to
look,
generate. I mean, and I think you're right. It needed to overcome that, but almost even more, it needed to generate excitement for what
Yes.
else is coming. Like
Yes,
it needed
it
to
had-
leave you wanting more. And that's the one thing most of those
Yeah.
DCU movies did not leave you wanting more. They left you wanting less. They're like, okay, we need less of this. And so this movie is
yeah.
like,
You'd see David Ayer's Joker and you'd be like, oh. And then you would
Yes.
see, Momoa's Aquaman, which is a fun movie in places, but you're like, oh, you're not really Aquaman, dude.
yeah.
Then you'd see
yeah.
Superman die in BVS, or you'd see Lex Luthor, who's Jesse Eisenberg, and you'd be like, oh my gosh. Or a bad or a bad Doomsday. Then you just get Ezra Miller as the Flash. You're like,
Yeah,
terrible
yeah,
casting.
yeah,
And then so it was like miss after miss after miss in those movies. And so even looking at it, if you look at the only three DC EU films have a higher Rotten Tomatoes score, and it is Wonder Woman, Shazam, the first one, and James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, right? And
And that
so,
Wonder Woman movie almost feels like how did they make Gal Gadot look so not bad at acting in that film?
it's become like a meme lately, hasn't
it
it?
almost
How
and
bad she
like
is.
the Kal-El, no, like the line from or what is she? Is
Justice
it
League, yeah.
Hello,
Hello,
no.
no.
Yeah, that's like becoming like a
Yeah,
meme of a like screenshot. But
yeah.
it has seemed that she's had some other stinker performances here and there, or just
Death of
cardboard
Nile, not great.
type
She was never an
performances.
amazing actress to start with. I think she's beautiful. She seems like a really
Sure,
nice
she looks the
person.
part for Wonder
She
Woman for
looks
sure.
great. She looks
Yeah,
great. Yeah. Well, Pine really helped a lot in that first movie.
he
He's
did,
did a
didn't he?
lot of the
I forget he was in it sometimes.
yeah, he did a lot of heavy lifting there. She's just
Yeah,
kind of reacting to him. So,
yeah,
um, but just looking at it, man, it's Superman, 83% critic score, 93% audience score, cinema score, A minus. Man of Steel, 57% critic score, 75% audience score, cinema
yeah,
score, A minus. So there's a huge difference here. And if anyone wants to tell you anything different, Superman is a way bigger success than Man of Steel was. Even though Man of
absolutely.
Steel made more money, Superman, if they can continue on this track, will make Warner Brothers way more money in the long run because it is establishing an entire universe
Yes.
of IP, of merchandise, of TV, of gaming, shirts, coloring books, you name it. It's bigger for them. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
people are crapping on it. Again, it's another attack of the Snyder Bros. Or just
Well,
people crap.
certain corners of the internet. Most
Well,
most of the big subs that like the big DC comic, they're all very happy with it.
yeah, the places I go, they all seem very happy with it, and
And even like
which is
more like
surprising.
over like, oh my gosh, I saw it again. It's even better than I thought. Like it's
Yeah,
very much like it is 99% of the comic book people, which are your diehard fans or your fans that are going to be there no matter what, are into it. And I think that's the thing with DC. You lost that core so quick of the
yeah,
diehard comic fans. And like, so you were, it's almost like those movies got more general audiences in there than they did like the comic fans because of like, it was almost trying to appeal more to them. Like it was trying to make Superman and Batman more like adult for like wanting to make normal people that aren't into comic books like them. But in that, like you lost the core of what you are. You like kind of lost your identity in that. And I think this is staying true to its roots. And you can tell by the people that are loving it. And I think like that's the word of mouth you need too to get.
yes.
I just saw it had a really good Tuesday too. A
So,
really
yeah,
strong Tuesday
it's
yesterday.
been
So
strong Monday, strong Tuesday. I
legs
think
are
we're gonna have a
looking good.
really short drop. Like if a 50% drop happens over the weekend, it's like that's as good as it gets, baby.
Yeah.
And so I think it's gonna have some legs. Internationally, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Superman is not the biggest character over there, and also maybe it could be the United States might not be looked upon favorably right now. So I just don't know.
Yeah.
I don't really know if that's a factor or not. But and then China's been weird anyway, regardless of the United States. I mean, they've just been kind of like we talked about this on the podcast last year too, siloing their own box office to
Yeah.
not participate really in the global sphere. And it's like it's cool to boycott Captain America over there, kind of thing. So
Yeah. Yeah.
whether it's a good movie or not, and it wasn't the best movie either. Yeah. So again, this it's on the right track. I will say, as far as the future. I was already excited for Lanterns, and now I'm super excited for it
Oh
because even Guy
man.
Gardner will be in there. And like to me, I'm curious because I don't know the tone of like I thought I did. I thought it was gonna be serious, and it still may be. But like I'm like, what's the world look like in Lanterns? Does it still look like James Gunn's
Mm,
world?
mm.
I don't know. Like I'm very
I
curious,
mean,
and so
all the parallels they keep making are like True Detective, and it's like this
how does that fit
like
in
rated
Superman?
R murder mystery in this world. I mean, I think it does, and I think that's the nice thing is again you can just do it without having to explain it. We don't have to explain to you why this corner is dark and why over there it's Superman saving squirrels because they can
Yeah,
both exist. I think again that's the unapologetic. We're a crazy ass super like fantastical universe. We can do what we want.
yeah,
I mean, I hope it is. I hope they lean fully into that gritty darkness. Like I mean, it's an HBO show, right? Like
yeah, yeah,
it's coming to an HBO, right? Like it's not just like the Max or whatever.
yeah.
And so like I mean, I am so excited. I mean, from the things that we've gotten out of Nathan Fillion, from when he says apparently he gets to say the F bomb a lot in it. And then also apparently his character goes through an arc. Like he changes.
Which I'm surprised that he's in it. Like that was kind of more of a recent thing, and I'm like, whoa, Guy Gardner's in this. So we're gonna
Yeah,
get
I didn't
Guy,
know.
Hal, and John in this,
Yeah, yeah, and so I'm very excited. I can't. I mean, obviously, I
dude.
was already pumped for the casting. I thought the guy that they chose for Jon Stewart was perfect. Like, I mean, like
Oh
I wanted him as
yeah,
Green Lantern before there was rumors
Aaron
about it because I'd
Pierre.
seen Rebel Ridge and I was
Yeah,
like, this guy's fucking Jon Stewart in this movie already. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, I cannot wait that. That might be like of projects we know like release dates already that are done or almost done. Like I think that's my most anticipated DC thing right now is Lanterns.
I think they officially stopped or wrapped shooting yesterday.
Wow. Okay. So I
And
mean,
so
yeah, maybe this time next year we'll be getting that.
they said spring and or early summer of 2026. So
Yeah. Yeah. Which is
yeah, my dream job, one of my dream jobs would be Green Lantern, making a Green Lantern Sinestro Corps movie. That'd be, or a Blackest Night
yeah.
movie, something
Yeah.
like that. That's my
Yeah.
dream. That's my dream job. Yeah. So I think they did it. Last thing I want to ask you, and if you didn't, then we won't talk about it. Have you seen these clips from Fantastic Four?
Which ones?
There's one where they're talking to Silver Surfer, or Johnny is. There's another one, and they basically go to Galactus. There's another one where they find out she's pregnant for the first time.
Seen that one.
Okay, well,
I've
okay,
never
just
seen the
talk,
other one.
let's talk about that one. There's only two of them. That one, that clip got me more excited for Fantastic Four than any of the trailers did because we're actually
Mm.
seeing the dynamic of the
Yeah.
family. And my
Yeah.
question is, we're 8 days away from the release of this movie.
Wow.
Are you feeling the hype for it?
No, not really. I'm feeling more of the Superman hype, honestly, still. And I know that's already been out. You know, it's already released. Yeah, I mean, I think that's more of an indictment of where Marvel's slate is right now than it is the movie's potential. I mean, I think the movie could be really good. I actually am looking forward to watching it. And the cast and it's dealing with plot and interesting things that I'm interested in that have implications on the universe and all this kind of stuff. But I think I'm not on the tip of my toes to the MCU right now. On it, just like I don't know like I don't know if there's a single project that could be coming out that is like I'm salivating for. Maybe another Spider-Man movie, but like other than that, I don't know if there's going to be like it's going to take them some work to make me excited, like on my toes for more MCU movies. They need to have a few good movies under their belt that make me that are just good and make me excited for what's to come for me to start kind of having hype for the MCU right now. I just don't have a lot of hype at all for the MCU.
Have you finished Ironheart?
I have not. No, I actually am kind of looking forward to it. Like I
Yeah.
want to finish that. I mean, I liked that show
No.
more than I thought I would. And so I still kind of have a sweeter taste in my mouth than bitter
Yeah.
when it comes to that. Yeah.
Yeah. We might need to talk about it later. I'm curious what your thoughts on it are. Yeah, I agree, man. I'm pretty excited about the DCU though. Final thoughts.
Yeah.
I had a great time with it. It's not perfect. There's things about it I do differently. Score, shot composition, blah blah blah, pacing. But man, it is a fun, wildly entertaining time at the movies, and I'm
Yep.
so excited now for the rest of this universe.
Yep.
Yesterday, as I
I think that's the thing is like it's got a lot of the core parts of it, the parts that needed to not miss, don't miss, and they're really fun and really good. But I think bigger than that, it sets up the rest of the slate for success. And it had to do that. It had to. And it does. So I think, I think it's 100% a success. And I think Warner Bros., I mean, at least from their PR, they seem to understand that. We won back the trust of our fans. Like that was their statement. That was the goal is to win back the trust of our core fans. And we did that. So it's a success. We can't wait for what's more. And I think that's good. I think they need to have that understanding of we're still post COVID. Nobody's doing gangbusters in the box office these days, at least not very often anyway. So like, we need to have a lot of context when we look at just the numbers. And I think it seems like they're doing that. So it's a success. I can't wait for what's next.
They have that. They're trying to get their Lord of the Rings stuff up. Harry Potter is now in production, which
Oh
looks
yeah.
good so far. And
I mean
it feels like they're
the
really
character
trying to get all
photos.
their IP up and running. So that's good.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. We'll see on Lord of the Rings. I'm
Dude, Nick Frost is
highly.
Hagrid. I'm like, hell yeah, dude.
He looks great. Yeah. The Harry Potter stuff looks great. The Lord of the Rings stuff, I am highly suspect of. Like it is hard for me not to just see those as cash grabs when again you're just making shit up. You're not. This isn't Tolkien anymore. This is just you making shit up in his world. Oh,
Yeah.
like I love that Andy Serkis is doing it and that Peter Jackson is doing it. That makes me more confident in it. But I'm just not sure that they aren't doing it for a paycheck at the end of the day. So, which I'm not sure I wouldn't do it for that either. So, sorry. I might also be willing to dilute some of my favorite IPs if it set up me and my future generations for success. So, yeah.
I get it. I get it. But before we go, I'd like to highlight one last thing for our audience that may or may not be TV or Daniel.
Yeah, my highlight, and I'm pretty sure I haven't already done this. I haven't done the altars, right? The game. I haven't talked to you about this.
No.
Great. So the altars is
No.
a brand new game from I can't. Is it 12-bit studios? I think they've done Frostbite. They've done these like other survival management games before. The Altars is a really cool game. So it's like a base building type, like XCOM type game where you're adding on like almost Tetris style to your base and adding on like different rooms that do different stuff. And it's like you going and exploring this like alien planet and trying to find supplies and discover anomalies and stuff. And so essentially you're this one dude and your name's Jan Dolsky, I think his name is like Jan, but it's pronounced Jan or Yan. And you're the only survivor of this crash ship on this alien planet, and you have to outrun the sun. Basically, the sun is too close to this planet, so if the sun catches you, you die. But you're alone, and the way you start to build out your crew is you have this special resource you find, and you have this special machine, and you make altered versions of yourself. And basically you look back on your like timeline, life path, and you say, well, if I had made a different decision here, he would have ended up as a doctor. So I'm going to now like multiversally pluck this different version of myself that's a doctor and bring them here. And now I've got me and Dr. Me. And so now the doctor can research stuff or he can, heal your guys. And so it's like you choosing which versions of myself do I want to bring. That's fun of it. But really, the other part, so you're managing your resources, trying to escape the sun, all this stuff. The other part you're doing is trying to manage the psyche of these altars because they're very aware of what they are. And so like they're having basically like existential crises every time you do it. They're like, wait, I'm just so my memories aren't real. You know what I mean? Like so like you're having to manage their like well-being. And if you don't, they'll just like some of them will go crazy and murder everyone. And that's how you lose because you didn't manage your altars and they murdered everyone. You know what I mean? Like, and so it's a really interesting game that it's a resource management survival game, but it's also a mood, like you have like to make sure you're taking care of your altars, and they might give you a quest that you have to fill, like, oh well, this guy wants to make a feast for everyone, and so you got to get extra special things so they can have a feast that'll boost everyone's mood. And so or they'll have arguments and they'll be like, the doctor or the scientist wants us to do work 12-hour shifts constantly because the only thing that matters is productivity. But then the other guy's like, no, we need breaks, so you decide, okay, well, do we need breaks or should we be productive? So it's a really interesting game. Like it is a very interesting combination of things we've seen before that you wouldn't necessarily think work, but really work. And yeah, so I mean, been very pleased with the altars. And it's on Game Pass. So very, very low barrier of entry to check it out.
I am going to download this game, Daniel. I'm iffy on your game choices, but Blueprints, you had me, so I'm going to check this one out.
It will,
yeah, and mine is it's an old movie. It just came out. No, you're fine. I was gonna say, I think my movie is Lethal Weapon. Just came out again on 4K. Blu-ray and Steelbook. You can find it at Walmart, and of course, I saw it and I had to get the Steelbook of it. But it's a classic. I think it's 1987, 88, and it's by Shane Black and written by Superman director or directed by Superman director Richard Donner. And Shane Black, of course, did this Scout. He also of course, wrote and directed Iron Man 3, and of course, The Hidden Gems, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and The Night Skies. So yeah, 4K Steelbook. It's out now. If you haven't seen Lethal Weapon, go check it out. Um, it's a great time. It's a great time. Anyway, as before, make sure to like and subscribe to Real Therapy at youtube.com/@realtherapypod to show your love. And of course, if you're on podcast, leave us a like there or give us a review. It really helps people find us. Really, really appreciate it. My name is Donavon,
I'm Daniel Wingfield.
and we'll see you at your next session.
Real Therapy is brought to you by 241 Studios and viewers like you. Thanks for stopping by. Remember to tune in every Friday at 3 p.m. for a new session with Daniel and Donavon. And remember,